Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Catherine Rogers, and I am the Chapter and Regional Operations Specialist here at Sigma Theta Tau headquarters. Welcome to our webcast today, which is 6 steps for successful surveys. Say that one 10 times fast. Again, thank you for joining me. Just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items before we get into the content. We do have several people on the call with us today, so because of that, I am going to leave everyone's lines muted for now. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to interrupt at any time. You can use that chat box on your GoToWebinar control panel, or if you are connected using a mic and speakers, you can click the raise hand button, and that will let me know that you have a question, and I can then unmute you and you can ask your question aloud. Either one of those is totally fine, whichever you prefer. Please do take a moment to ask your questions or share your comments or successes that your chapter has had in regards to surveys. Hopefully you recognize this image that's on the screen right now. This is the membership renewal cycle. If you are a counselor, you would have received the Spark a couple years ago in the mail. If not, I would encourage you to check out the Spark, which is posted in the All Chapter Officers work group, and it's best practices and tips for recruitment. So it goes over all of these sections, but what we're going to focus on today is involvement and renewal, because unless you involve your members, they're not going to renew. Unless you give them a good membership experience and they feel like they're getting a good return on their investment, they will not renew. We really like this quote from 123 Sign Up. They are a member solutions company, and they say that the key to retaining your members and attracting new ones is knowing what they need and value, how you can fill those needs, and what they think of your organization. Once you have some data to paint a good picture, you can begin adapting your strategies so that you're relevant and providing better value. That's ultimately the deciding factor in whether your members stay or go. So often when we work with chapters here as staff, the majority of their benefits and offerings are based on what they can come up with as a board and what they brainstorm. But they may plan these events and programs without actually consulting their members, so they may not be relevant or appealing to their members, and then chapters wonder why no one's showing up to their events and why no one's renewing. So taking the time to actually reach out to your members, ask them what they want and how they want it is going to give you some good insight on why your members are members and what they expect and want from you as a chapter. We'll go through some tips this afternoon on best practices for surveys and how to actually make this membership survey happen. The first tip is to use an online survey platform. You can, of course, do a mailed survey, but we find that online survey platforms garner a much stronger response from members. It's obviously much simpler to click a link in their email or click a link from your chapter website and fill out the questions with their opinions rather than having to write it down and then find an envelope or a stamp and mail it back in or what have you. So obviously online is best if you can make it work. It's what we recommend and what we use as an organization, what we often help our chapters put together. Obviously online survey platforms, that's what they do. They are made for surveys specifically. Many will have built-in templates and functionality to allow for skip logic. So for example, if you ask if a member is currently a registered nurse and they say yes, then they'll see the next question. If they say no, it might skip them to a later question in the survey. This is obviously something that is you can't do in person, you can't do by phone, and you can't do by mail. So this is a really nice way to customize the questions and make sure that you're getting the data that you need. Online survey tools also let you measure results in easy to understand ways. So that means they will curate all of the data for you. They file all of the responses. They can provide you with PDFs, with Excel spreadsheets, even with Word documents. They can show you individual responses versus larger data trends. There's many different ways that these programs will then spit this data back to you so that you can look at it in different ways that work for your brain. I know if I see something in an Excel spreadsheet, that might not mean something to me, but if I can see something in graph form, that's going to make more sense and be more impactful when I need to use that data to make a decision. Online survey tools also provide training and support to help you. So if you as a chapter board subscribe to an online survey tool, that website more than likely will have some type of support, whether that's phone support, email support, or if they even online chat if you have questions. They will also have trainings. So some have recorded video trainings on exactly how to walk through building a survey, how to pull those results, things like that. Others will have frequently asked question pages. They will have different types of tutorials. So they are there to make it very simple for you, the user, to actually come and interact and make the most out of your subscription to their service. One of the most common ones that our chapters are using, and it's a tool that we at headquarters use, is SurveyMonkey. You've probably received a survey using SurveyMonkey, whether it's from us or another organization that you belong to, but this is one of the most common ones that we recommend and that we see chapters using. They do have different membership levels or subscription levels. So there is a free version that allows for 10 simple questions per survey and up to 100 respondents. So if you're a smaller chapter, this might work for you. You don't have to pay anything and you can make this work for your chapter. If you're a larger chapter, of course, you may not be able to reach all of your membership with one survey. That would require then potentially breaking down your membership into different subsets, which would be more work on your end. That could be potentially beneficial. But again, if you are sending out one mass survey and you have more than 100 respondents, you might need to look at a paid subscription to SurveyMonkey. The downsides to SurveyMonkey is their skip logic is not as advanced as other tools. They do have some skip logic. Basically, you can set whether a question is required or not, and from there you can kind of make your own skip logic, but it's not as advanced as other tools. The data that you export is limited. There are ways to export your data. So if you want to pull an Excel spreadsheet of every single individual response that you get on your survey, you can do that, but there are not more complex or advanced ways to export that data. So that can be a downside that some chapters see. And you cannot include custom logo or branding within your survey itself. So you cannot put the STTI crest or logo in the header of your survey when you're sending it out, unfortunately. Some chapters really like that. It makes it very clear who the survey is coming from. SurveyMonkey is very simple design-wise. So you pick your color scheme, and that's pretty much what it is. There's not a whole lot of customization as far as the look of the survey. But I will say that it's very simple to use. It's very user-friendly. They have many templates for many different types of surveys. They have nonprofit surveys, they have education surveys, so you're not always just starting from scratch with SurveyMonkey. And when I've needed their technical support, they have been incredibly responsive and very helpful, so that's a nice perk about SurveyMonkey too. Like I said, SurveyMonkey does have a basic or a free plan. It's 10 questions, 100 responses. Based on the size of your chapter, take a look at some of these other plans that they offer. The best value there is the gold one. That's $25 per month per user. And you can see that there's a lot of additional items that are offered under this that you do not get in the free version. Skip logic obviously is a big one that a lot of our chapters need. Randomization of different questions. So if you want your questions to be mixed up when you send them out, if you want to add your custom logo, things like that, this might be a better bet for you. So if this is something that you're looking at, talk as a board, look at your budget and see if this is something that you can swing. They do obviously have a higher level than even the gold. They have the platinum, and they also have the select. And that's a step down from the gold. So if this is something that you're interested in and your chapter's thinking about using SurveyMonkey, like I said, we at headquarters here use this quite a bit. So if you have questions, please let me know and we're happy to answer whatever questions you might have. Another really common survey tool that a lot of people like to use is Typeform. They also have a free version similar to SurveyMonkey. What's nice about their free version is they do have unlimited questions and respondents. So you can put, if you want, 100 questions and send it to your 2,000 members if that's what you need. You can export your data. There are custom design themes, or you can choose from a template. So they have preset ones that you can choose, or if you want to make it look more unique to your chapter, you can include the STTI crest and logo, things like that. It's very appealing to the eye and much more design friendly than SurveyMonkey, I would say. And it does offer basic reporting through the free version. There is no skip logic again in the Typeform free version. They do have a professional version subscription, which is $25 a month. So again, something you might look at with your chapter if you're thinking of putting together a survey. This is an example of one of the Typeforms. So this obviously is very appealing. It looks really nice. It looks professional. It looks expensive. It's going to catch your member's eye if they see this in their email. This is kind of what their questions look like. Again, very clean, very appealing. You can put some icons or clip art with your questions too to make it as impactful as you like. Another survey tool that we recommend is Google Forms. So if your chapter already has a Google account set up, then you have access to this, and it might work with what you're already using as far as email or document storage. They offer unlimited surveys with unlimited respondents. So again, you can do as many questions, as many surveys, send to as many people as you need to. Their survey answers and the data is automatically collected in a Google spreadsheet, so really easy to access and view and discuss. They do have several theme options, so you can customize the look of your survey, make it look really attractive. You can add a custom logo if you like. You can include images or videos, so if you had a chapter event and you want to include a video of that to maybe jog people's memories about which event you're actually referring to in a certain question, you can certainly do that. They do have skip logic and page branching, so you can make it a little bit more advanced. If certain questions don't apply to a respondent, they will not see those questions based on their previous answers, things like that. So that can be really nice, make it a little bit more sophisticated. You can embed a survey into an email or a website, which is nice as far as sending it out and communicating the link to your survey to your members. And you can also add collaborators. So whoever sets it up, if I set it up in a Google form, I can invite Michelle Coburn, who works with me here at STTI, to collaborate and add her thoughts or changes. She can come in and edit or spell check it for me if I request that from her. So that's kind of nice too, to get someone in there as a second set of eyes, or just kind of a group think if that's something that you're interested in. And they don't necessarily have to have a login information for your account. You can just add them as a collaborator, which is helpful. And probably the most appealing part of Google Forms is that it is 100% free. So you get all of this for free. So that's a pretty good deal. That's quite a bit of usability that you get from Google Forms. So your next steps, once you've picked your survey tool, obviously you have to talk about this as a chapter board, as well as cost, usability. Think about how tech savvy you and your board are. If you need something that's super user friendly, that is probably going to affect which tool you decide to go with. If you're on a tight budget, of course that's going to affect your decision. So make sure you look things over and do your due diligence and your research before subscribing or making a choice as far as your survey tool. Take some time to watch any offered tutorials on how to build your surveys, how to export the data, whatever features that tool offers. Make sure that you take some time to really understand and get familiar with the system before you dive in and start building your survey. The next part, you obviously, of course, want to ask the best questions. You are taking a lot of time and effort to put together this survey, so you want the data that you get from your survey to be useful, to be manageable, and to be accurate. So that comes from asking useful questions. I want to share some sample questions with you. These are some that we as staff have come up with. These are some that we have seen our chapters use when putting together their own surveys, and a lot of these are really fantastic, and they really ask some probing information. You can get a really good sense of where your members are at. A basic one, what type of chapter events would you be interested in attending? So essentially, what content do they want? Do they want networking? Do they want community service, educational, professional development, things like that? Make a list. If your chapter has been offering only educational programs and that's not necessarily something that appeals to your members, you might be surprised at how many answers you get for community service, and then you as a board would have some decisions to make as far as what programming you're offering. So this is one really important question, just so that you can make sure that you're giving them the content that they want in your chapter programs. Have you attended a chapter event in the last year? Yes or no? If yes, what was your impression? What did you think? If no, can we ask why not? You might get some constructive criticism in some of these questions, but that's always good. As long as you don't take it personally, you can use those answers and that data to make your chapter better. So ask them, was the time inconvenient? Was the location inconvenient? Would you have preferred a virtual program? Was the format or the topic not appealing to you? Ask some of these hard questions that might make you a little bit uncomfortable when you see some of the answers, because that's going to give you a really good look at what your membership desires from you as a chapter board. This is one of my favorite questions that I've ever seen a chapter ask. What keeps you up at night in relation to your job? Your responses that you're going to get from this will run the gamut. Obviously, if there are, young, brand new nurses in their first year of working, their responses are going to differ from someone who, might be a CNO or a higher up or in administration. But looking at these, you can really take a look at those responses and say, okay, this is what is stressing our members. How can we ease their stress? Or this is what they feel like they're lacking in their professional life. How can we fill those holes for them. So I really like this question. Obviously, this is going to be kind of an open response question. It's not a yes or no or a multiple choice, so you'll have to go through and really do some reading and some looking, but I love this question. I like this one a lot too. Which of the following services most interests you? So you can obviously customize this to include a list of benefits that your chapter offers. So if your chapter offers mentoring or scholarships, or if you offer resume or networking or interview tips, whatever it may be, make sure that you customize this with the language that is specific to your chapter. And you might find that no one or very few people find a certain service or benefit that you offer useful. You might get no answers for one of your offerings, and that's okay. But then that leads you to a conversation as a board. Do we continue to offer it? Do we replace it with something else that better meets our members' needs? I, again, really love this one too. If we were to develop an event or program around your interests, would you be willing to serve on a committee to plan that event? This question is incredibly helpful on several levels. Obviously, you could potentially gain some programming from this. If you have someone who's an expert on a certain topic or is doing research on a certain topic or what have you, bring them in as a presenter. Boom, there's one of your programs. It also then potentially drums up some volunteers for your chapter. So you could, again, put together a committee. So a planning committee, a welcoming committee, someone who, you know, reaches out to the community or advertises, what have you, but you're engaging your members not just through programming, but through some leadership development for your chapter, and hopefully they will then stick around and serve at a higher level for your chapter too, potentially becoming a board member at a later date. How likely are you to renew your membership? Why? So you could give them a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not likely, 2 being extremely likely, and ask them why or why not. Again, you're going to get a lot of information from this question that's going to be really insightful. So if someone says they're a 1, they're not going to renew at all, and they say programming doesn't apply to me, okay, there's an answer. Again, that's going to sting to hear, but your goal is to serve them, so you take those answers and give a good long look at your chapter benefits. What is the chapter doing well? I like this one. You know, soften that blow of any constructive criticism with what you're doing well. Where can you improve? So again, this is going to be another area where you can get some honest feedback, hopefully from your members, and you can then take that and mold your chapter. Our third tip is to incorporate a survey into your communication plan. Hopefully your chapter at least has a strategic plan put together for a year for the biennium, and hopefully then too you have a budget and a communication plan on top of that. If you do not, please let us know. Staff is happy to help you put together either a strategic plan or a budget or a communication plan, whatever you need. Just give us a call. So a communication plan in its essence is a schedule of timely and consistent messaging. So you're going to have these communications pre-planned or pre-scheduled so that you're not the week before an event scrambling, oh, we haven't sent out this email or we haven't posted on the chapter website. You'll already have it set up and hopefully scheduled enough in advance that you can just look at your plan and say, okay, next week so-and-so needs to post this, or I need to make sure that the secretary updates the website with this information. It saves some of that scrambling and the panic and holds everyone accountable and on schedule. It includes, of course, any communication goals that you've established during your strategic planning process, so these kind of overlap in that way. Again, going to have a calendar of communication, including a list of messages. Doesn't necessarily have to have the actual content for the messages, but you need to at least know, when it's being sent, what it's about, who is sending it and when they're sending it. And who's your audience? So is this going to all of your active members? Are you surveying your inactive members? Are you just surveying your new members? So members inducted within the last year or two. Think about who your audience is, and you are obviously more than welcome to break down your membership lists into subsets if you like. Again, method of communication, whether your messages are going out in email, snail mail, phone, website, what have you. Who is responsible to deliver? So whether that's your secretary, if it's something about induction and it's coming from your counselor, if it's an event, it might come from your vice president. Think about diversifying who is sending out all of your messages. Here's a sample of one goal and a chapter's communication plan to go with that goal. So here you obviously see they have their goal, which is to deliver a membership survey. Pretty simple, right? But then they've broken it down much further and they basically have this all planned out. So they want to have it sent by January 1st, 2 reminders sent out 2 weeks apart, and their deadline is mid-February. So they've kind of got a mock-up or a draft of their call to action or their message. So we need your opinion or shape the future of your membership experience. Both of those are better than fill out our survey. They're a little bit more engaging than click here to whatever. Make it snazzy, make it empowering, and tell them exactly what you want them to do. Their audience is their active members, so they're sending it to all of their active members. They're not breaking down that list. It's going to go in an email directly through the survey platform, making it really simple on the officers. They don't have to pull a list and copy and paste and all that. It's directly done through the survey platform. And the Membership Involvement Committee will work to put together the actual questions, and then the secretary will build, send, and maintain the data and pull any responses. Fourth tip today, and it's one of my favorites, include incentives. So what's going to drive you to complete a survey? If you know there's a $25 gift card, if there's a chance to have your membership dues paid for the next year, a Visa gift card, your students can use that at the bookstore or potentially at the cafeteria or dining hall, whatever. What's going to make you participate in a survey? Again, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of bribery. It doesn't have to be a huge expense to the chapter. You can get 1 or 2 Starbucks cards and you randomly draw names. It does not have to be some huge grand, $200 gift card. Make it simple, but when there are those incentives, people are that much more apt to complete it or to participate. I can't tell you how many survey requests I have deleted from my email because I open it and there's no incentive. Why would I take half an hour of my time if you're not giving anything back to me? So there is nothing wrong with putting an incentive behind your surveys. And then potentially one of the most important tips is to actually follow up on the results that you get from your survey. So of course you have to analyze them as a board. What trends do you notice? Were there any surprising results? Were there any of those answers that kind of stung or that were hard to hear? What are you going to do about those? What additional programs, services, or benefits can your group create to create a solution for that what keeps you up at night about your job question? Is it, they need a program on work-life balance? They need adjusting to a different sleep schedule? Do they need some professional development so that they can move upward in their job? How are you going to meet their needs? And then take those results, and this is where you develop your goals. So develop a communication calendar to ensure that members are aware of their benefits. Nothing worse than putting together a beautiful program or offering or event and nobody comes. Make sure that you're publicizing it to them so that they know exactly when, where, and what is happening. Implement one clinically based program. So if the majority of your members are clinicians, meet them where they're at, whether that's a topic relating to their job, or if you actually go to the clinic or hospital where they work and host the program there, meet them where they're at. Develop a community service committee to host regularly scheduled service opportunities. If you get a ton of responses that say they want to give back to their community and they want to serve, that should be one of your goals. That should be one of the offerings. And then host periodic events simply for social interaction. There is nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun. There is nothing wrong with having a pizza party for your students during finals week, just for them to come and eat and relax and take their mind off their stress. There's nothing wrong with having an ice cream social for members and potential members to meet and chat. Have, a hayride in the fall and have your members bring their families and their children. There's nothing wrong with getting together just to get together. And then make your goals a reality. So take the responses and your goals, and this is when you bring them to the table when you do your strategic planning session. So this is when you'll come up with your goals. So your goals are kind of the lofty, I like to call them fluffy items. Your action items then are the checklist items underneath. So what exactly you're going to do to meet that goal. Those will also include who's responsible, any costs, the timeline or deadline, and what available resources you have. So do you already have a connection to a venue, something like that? Again, if your chapter does not yet have a strategic plan or a communication plan and would like to start putting one together, staff is more than happy to consult with your chapter board on that. Just let us know and we'll get a time scheduled to meet with all of you. And then once you've got this strategic plan done, at your subsequent board meetings, bring that strategic plan to the table each time and talk about the progress that's been made. So did this go really well? Was this really hard to put together? Did your secretary need additional support in getting out all this messaging? Did your vice president need a task force to help put together this certain program? Did it go really, really well, and you want to expand upon it and make it bigger and better next year? So bring these to the table each time you have a board meeting to go over your goals, where you're at with them, check in, and then build upon them or tweak them for next time around. And then survey frequently. It doesn't really do you any good to just send out one survey and then never again ask them what they want. Your membership is going to continually change. Obviously, the generations change. Your members are younger and younger, and they are potentially of a different generation and mindset than you. So it benefits you and them to survey them regularly. We suggest at least annually at the very minimum. This, again, provides a voice for your new members so they can let you know what they're expecting right when they join. But then if you survey them again in the next year, they will have been a member for a year, year and a half, and they might have some more concrete opinions on the chapter's offerings and happenings that they could then give you some feedback on. It provides a voice for members whose career path and therefore their needs have changed from a previous survey. So if someone retires, their needs and desires are going to be different than a brand new member. If they are trying to move upward in their career, they're going to need something different. And it allows your board to learn more about your current membership as of today. It doesn't do you any good to survey once and then 20 years down the road, then you survey again. Those 20 years were probably full of missed opportunities. So make it a regular habit to survey your members. It's also a good idea to survey your members after events. Ask them, was it what you expected? So get that feedback from them. Did they think the title meant something else? Were they expecting a different outcome? How could the presenter or presenters improve? Again, this might be something that is delicate when you relay this information back to the presenter themselves, but it might be helpful as far as thinking about who you're going to book as a presenter next time around. Would you recommend this event to a friend, even a non-member friend? Could this be something that you open up to the community and invite additional people and recruit some more members that way? And are there additional topics you'd like to see covered during a future event? So again, is there something that you need from us that you want us to cover? Is there something that you want to present that you feel passionate about or you are an expert on that you want to cover, and provide that to our membership and share that? So just a quick recap, and then we have plenty of time for questions or comments. We recommend using an online survey platform. Certainly there are other ways to do it, but our experience as staff, we see online survey platforms bringing the best quantity of results. So you're going to get more members complete your surveys, but you're also going to get high quality data and data that you can turn around and download and save and use easily. Make sure you're asking useful questions. You know, asking demographic information might be great, but that doesn't give you any insight. If someone checks a certain age range box, that doesn't give you any insight on what they actually want or need from you as a chapter. So make sure that you're tailoring those questions and really considering them before you put this survey together. Make sure your survey is incorporated into your communication plan so that you know when it's happening, that it's not overlapping or bombarding your members with a zillion emails a day, and make sure that it will actually get done. If it's written down and in a plan, it will happen. Include incentives. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of bribery. Make sure that you follow up on your results. Your members will not be happy if they take the time to give you their feedback and then you don't do anything with it and they don't feel like they're being heard or appreciated. And then survey frequently. Obviously not too frequently, you don't want to do every week, but make it a regular habit of your chapter to survey your membership and different subsets of your membership regularly so that you can keep up to date on where they're at and what they need from you. At this time, I want to open it up to any questions that you might have. Again, feel free to use that chat box to send a question through to me, and I'm happy to answer it. If you, again, have a mic and speakers, then you are more than welcome to raise your hand, and I can unmute you if you want to share your question or your comment aloud. Let me know what questions you might have. We got one good question. Obviously, I did share several different question examples for you today, but there are survey samples, so lists of actual questions that chapters have used that are posted in the All Chapter Officers work group for you to access in case you don't want to completely reinvent the wheel or you just kind of feel like you need a good starting point as far as what questions to use. There are some of those located in the All Chapter Officers work group. Great question. What else do you have for me? Sure. Karen wanted to see the calendar and the communication plan slide, so let me go back to that for you real quick here so you can see that. Absolutely. There you go. How's that, Karen? What other questions do you have for me today, or what do you need? Just so you're all aware, I am recording our session today, and I will record our other session that's on Thursday. And so we'll get one of the recordings posted in the All Chapter Officers work group. So if you ever want to reference this information again, we will have a posting in the All Chapter Officers work group by the end of the week or by early next week in case you need it. You are most welcome, Karen. If there are no other questions, or if you don't have questions and need to hop off and get back to another meeting or back to work or school or what have you, please feel free to go ahead and hop off the call if you need to get going. That's absolutely fine. Thank you for your attendance. I will stay on the line for a few more minutes in case some more questions come up. I'm happy to answer those if you want to chat. Just let me know. I will stay on the line, but thank you again for your service to your chapters, and thank you for attending today. Sue had some awesome questions. She asked, do I suggest emailing a link in small batches or, from the rosters? I think depending on what service you're using, if your membership size works with that service, you can obviously send, if you have 400 members and your survey service allows up to 500, do it all in one batch. If you want to kind of get specific with what types of questions you're asking, if you want to create a couple different surveys that are they each vary a little bit, and make sure you're sending those, one for student members or one for nurse leader members, by all means, I think that's great. But just as far as ease of putting it together, there's nothing wrong with sending it out to one whole group from the roster report tool. So you'll want to pull that roster, and then if you're emailing, you can copy and paste that email column and put that in your survey tool and send it out for you. I know, for example, SurveyMonkey, if you have 200 members and you email them all, and with the first initial email, 10 of them fill them out, you can send reminders to the members that have not responded, and it will track who has and has not responded. So you're not sending reminders to members who have already completed the survey, things like that. It's whatever works for you, and it depends, I think, on how specific you get with your questions too. Sue also asked if I recommend surveying inactive members. I certainly think it can't help. I would not say that you would want to survey them quite as regularly as you do your active members. Obviously, if they are inactive, there's a possibility that they are inactive for a reason, and they may not want to hear from STTI or from the chapter, which is fine. So think carefully when you decide to reach out to your inactive members that you're not, overwhelming them in case they're no longer working in nursing or no longer interested, what have you. But it certainly cannot hurt to reach out, at least once. Just, can we ask what would make you renew your membership? What types of things would bring you back to the chapter? And then I always like to include, here's how you renew. If you're interested and if you want to hear more from the chapter, make sure you renew and come and visit us at a program or something like that. Good question, Sue. Thanks. Anything else? If not, I'll again thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. Please let me know if you have additional questions on this. Let us know how we can help you. If you need help with strategic planning or communication planning, give us a call. We are happy to help. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon.